Oh, what is...
So they defend Paul.
So, what is Paul?
Paul is an impostor.
Why my...
Fake.
Why my son?
Uh, disappointment is highly questionable. Disappointment is highly questionable. Jesus was no longer around. Traditionally, when we read the book of Acts, in Acts 9,
Nope. They ran away. Hi, my son. Ooh. How are you? Oh, here he comes again.
you normally read Acts 9, but very few people read Acts 26. Acts 26 vividly explains this heavenly vision that he experienced. The heavenly vision happened during noontime, not midnight. According to him, he met or he talked with Jesus. It was Jesus from up there, appointing him as a new, maybe number 13 apostle. Because we already have complete 12 apostles in the list, Matthew 10, 1 to 4. And you find no Paul in there, no Luke in there, no Timothy in there. So when I use Matthew 10, 1 to 4 to screen and validate the 27 books of the New Testament, I found out only 10 were written by the 10 original apostles. Therefore, 17 of the New Testament books were all corrupted by Paul and Luke. When I say corrupted, impliedly, I'm saying that those books were originally owned by the apostles, the original apostles of Jesus, but because this Paul was so strong a person in the government, so he was able to get warrant of arrest, something like that, so that he can raid the houses of the original apostles, pull them out, put them in prison, even kill them. That's how powerful Paul was before Jesus was killed on the cross, and even years after Jesus had already been crucified. Paul was still running after those original apostles. This is the most what I hate about Paul. His own testimonies in Acts chapter 7, particularly 7:58, he admitted, and he was there present when one of the 7 deacons was stoned to death. And you can find it in Acts 7:58. The clothes of the dead man, Stephen, was surrendered to Paul, who was standing nearby, because it was upon his instruction to stone Stephen. And who is Stephen? Stephen is one of the 7 deacons, newly appointed by the complete 12 apostles of Jesus. When Judas committed suicide, the original 12 minus 1, 11. So it was incumbent upon the remaining 11 to conduct a raffle. So it was a raffle between Matthias and Barsabbas, where Matthias won. Hence, Matthias is the substitute for Judas Iscariote. Now, being complete, 12 of them, there was an instruction by Jesus to complete. Before Jesus can send the Spirit of Comforter, as he promised before he ascended unto heaven. So this chronology of events is very important to really delineate and appreciate what this Paul had been doing before killing Jesus and after killing Jesus. He was a very fierce persecutor, brutal as he is. There was only 3 years for Jesus to evangelize, the last 3 years of his life. And he was killed at 33 years old. What is significant in this discussion is the fact that Paul was really not one of the original apostles. Paul was, in fact, a persecutor. After the time that Jesus was killed, the apostles were so much afraid of him. Can you imagine you being one of the original 12? You know that Paul is always looking after you. He has a warrant of arrest against you. And you already heard some of your colleagues are being dragged outside, killed by this man. Can you imagine your feelings? And in this holiness, they will assert that Paul was approved by the 12 apostles. Do you believe that? That Paul was approved by the 12 apostles, so that he became 13. So chronologically speaking, you know this subject I invented, Etchi? I call this Etchi, historical chronology, the proper sequencing of events as they actually happen, without which you will be brainwashed by your pastor. So that is exactly what happened in the past 2,000 years. Christianism proliferated around the world unquestioningly. Imagine that heavenly vision only was taken as an absolute truth. Then they loved Paul better, or they loved Paul more than what the original apostles. That is intolerable, unacceptable. So these are the things that I intend to push through. This is my advocacy. Whether they will like it or not, I don't care. I am glad that some of the GC participants, particularly those who have knowledge about Griego sounding words, now they depart themselves from Christianism. I am against Christianism. I am against Paul because Paul founded Christianism. Christianism was never founded by Jesus. It started in Antioch, Acts 11:26. At the time when Paul was using the word Christ or Christian as a manner of insult. Initially, it was not intended to be a name of a secta. It was intended to insult, or here again the Christians, as he said. And even in 2 Corinthians 11:5-13, you will see how Paul described the apostles of Jesus. He would say, "Oh, I will not be left behind with this genius apostles of Jesus. I am also genius." So that is how he described himself. And he even called the apostles of Jesus as angels of Satan, who has the ability to transform themselves as angels of evil. That is how we describe the apostles of Jesus prior to the death of Jesus. Now come, prove to me. If you can show me just one verse in the Bible where Jesus actually said that he approves of the Christianism, then you can have my two heads cut off. This is my friend Joel, the man from
South
I think you
Africa.
are in Africa.
South Africa.
Yeah, he's in Africa.
Yeah. Who's there in the room with you?
Yeah, my wife, my beautiful wife.
Oh, does he know she's my daughter?
Oh, yeah.
Hello, my
She is your
daughter.
daughter, but
Yeah.
I am not your
Yeah.
daughter. I
No.
am your brother.
You are my son.
Oh, he's waving his hand to you. Come eat pancit. You know this, Joan, the first time that I met him, we talk casually, right?
My son.
From
I put there.
Africa.
I put there in Essie Colonel
Settled
room.
in Africa.
Yeah, I'm from South Africa.
South Africa.
South Africa.
Do you know that also in Africa? It was also in Africa where the priest, the Catholic priest, invented Muhammad to be a prophet.
Oh.
And Muhammad came from a Catholic family. Yeah, in that. So, Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, is still a part of the novena, rosary of the Catholic up to this present time.
Oh.
Because Fatima came from a Catholic family.
Okay.
Muhammad was a Catholic family. The Catholic priest invented the Roman Catholic Church. Now, after 2,000 years, they invented Islam, the combination of Christianity and Islamic religion. You see how stupid these Catholic priests are?
My son, can I now present my argument?
Yes.
You see, God told personally both me and Peter that Paul is our beloved brother. You hear what I
Go
say?
ahead.
You hear what I say? God told both me and Peter that Paul is our beloved brother.
Uh, your no good. The signal no good.
Do you
We have
know?
bad weather here.
Do you
What is
know?
your argument, Brother Johan? That Paul is your beloved brother?
I, my son.
That is not an argument.
But okay, I'm not forcing. If you want to call me brother, you are welcome. And if you want me to call you also brother, then I will do so. That's your choice. But to me, you are my son Jesus.
The argument is
But seems to me you are not.
Paul and Jesus Christ, they are different. Paul is not Paul doesn't teach the teachings of Jesus Christ. It contradicts the teachings of Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Malimit ako Chris Byron. Yung Chris Byron.
Paul contradicts the teachings of Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Peter was lying when he said that God told him Paul is his beloved brother and an apostle. Because that's what Peter said about Paul. So why would Peter lie about such an important statement? You see, I gave the verse there. You will see there in the group, in the chat. I gave the verse there where Peter spoke these words, that Paul was his beloved brother. So Peter was lying. Why would he lie about?
Where can you read that, Brother Joel? Where can you read that?
I put it there in the group.
What verse?
I put it there in the group, but okay, I will read it for you. It is in 2 Peter 3, the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 15. Peter 3 verse 15, where Peter spoke these words, and we know Peter will never speak something if Jesus has not told him to speak those words. And he said that Paul was his beloved brother and an apostle. He agreed that Paul's stuff was very difficult to understand, but he spoke there in the Holy Spirit, because we know Peter will never speak something in his letters which was not from the Holy Spirit. So he knew Paul personally, Peter, and he personally made a judgment there that Paul is his beloved brother. So of course I accepted the word of God, that Paul is Peter's beloved brother, and I asked God too, and God admitted to me that it is the truth. Peter was not lying.
Brother John, do you believe that 2 Peter was written by Peter himself?
2 Peter chapter 3.
Because majority of the scholars believe that 2 Peter is a forgery. It means that Peter didn't write that book.
How do you know that, my son? That you ask God, or that you do it?
The scholars studied that, and they arrived in a conclusion that this book, it wasn't written by Peter.
How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that, my son? How do you actually know it?
They compare it. They compare it.
Oh, you compare it. Who compared it and made that judgment? It was you.
Wait, I will see. Okay, I will give an example. The language of Second Peter, it's written. It was written by someone who know very much about the Greek language. Hmm?
So how do you know
And
that?
how come? Yeah, the wording, the language, the use of language, according to Dr. Bart Ehrman, he said that it's very unlikely that Peter wrote this because Peter he was illiterate. He was not educated. You know,
So,
Peter. How come Peter knew so much about Greek?
so
Where
the
I
first
thought
Peter was
he was a Jew. So how did Peter learn to write in Greek language?
so the first Peter was also not written by Peter. Both the books of Peter was not written by Peter.
Huh? Brother John?
So the book of First Peter was also not written by Peter.
Mm.
Why do you say only the second book was not written by Peter? What about the first one?
Because that's what you use Second Peter. That's your basis for telling that Paul, Peter was appearing the
Okay.
Paul, right? That's the source that you use, Second Peter, and that entire book, it's not written by Peter. It was written by someone who knew, who's very excellent in the Greek language. Brother Johan.
Brother, what did God say about your?
And Peter cannot. It's impossible that Peter could have written that because Peter Peter was a fisherman according to Acts chapter 4 verse 13, right? Brother Johan, he was a fisherman. uh, but First Peter and Second Peter, these books they were written by highly educated person, highly literate, Greek speaking Christian who is intimately familiar with the scriptures in the Greek translation, the Septuagint. So
What
the one
about?
who wrote First and Second Peter has access to the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible.
And what about Matthew and John and what
Yeah, they
Luke?
say that
Matthew.
these are anonymous.
So Matthew is
They
also
are
fake.
anonymous.
So Matthew is also.
They didn't know.
So what about the book of Matthew? It's also a fake book.
Matthew,
Yeah.
it's not written by Matthew. Mark is
Okay.
not written by Mark.
And
Luke,
John?
it's not written by Luke.
And John?
And John, it's not written by John.
Okay. So which books do you accept? Is there
Right.
any book at all which you accept in the Bible?
What I'm accepting, I'm not accepting anything there because these are compiled books and it's written by different people. These are written by Christians.
Okay, so you don't have a Bible. Are you a Muslim?
No.
So what are you?
No, so you cannot quote verses anymore, Brother John, because whatever you quote, I will just tell you, oh, it's not written by that person.
So, so, tell me, do you have a relationship with the living God?
No.
What did the living God say about these statements of yours? Or did you never ask him?
Lobat ako, excuse me. Lobat.
My son Chris, what did the living God say about these statements of yours? Or did you never ask him?
What did you say? That the living God?
What did your father say about these statements of yours?
Nothing. He said-
Nothing. So he didn't accept. He didn't accept your state. So you never asked your father, the living God, your father. You never asked him.
I never asked him because
Yo, how can you not ask your father about
he doesn't
about
exist.
God doesn't exist?
Brother John.
Oh, God does not exist. Okay, no
Yes.
problem. Okay, yeah, to you he doesn't exist, but to me he does. And he told me all those books.
You want we will have a debate and I will prove to you that he doesn't exist.
No, he exists to me. He exists to me, my son. I have no problem if he doesn't exist to you. That's your problem. But to me, he exists. And he told me, Paul is an apostle. And I accepted it because he told me. You see, everything I took to
how did
to
he
him.
tell that to you? How did
Ah?
he tell that to you?
How did he tell that to
You heard
me?
him or you heard him?
He uses the words of Paul. He used the word of Paul to give me spiritual growth in his own life. You see, the words of Paul especially created a lot of spiritual life I have now in my life. So I can never reject him because God confirmed that Paul is from him by using the words of Paul and creating more God life in me. That is how I knew he's from God. By personally speaking to God. You know he's not from God by your investigations. That's your problem. But of course I cannot put your investigations on the same level than the living God telling me personally. You can understand that I can never take you serious with your studies you did. When I personally grew up by the words of Paul for many years in my life, and who and what I am now was that the living God used a lot of Paul's words to create who and what I am now. Sure, he has showed me some mistakes Paul made, but in general, Paul did not make big mistakes, only small ones, which God does not use to create life in his children. He just ignored those
Because there
words.
is a problem, Brother Johan. The majority of the books in New Testament, it's all written by Paul. You know, Brother Johan. The books in the New Testament, almost all of them, they came from Paul. It's Paul. But
Okay,
if you compare these books, it appears that they are not written by Paul.
you
I'll give you an
already
example. For example, Paul talks about resurrection, but it's not consistent. Paul describe resurrection different ways in his writing. So they concluded that if the same person wrote these books, then they should have describe resurrection in the same way. For example, in uh, Corinthians, Paul says that resurrection, this is the uh, like what gets resurrected is the physical body. So when your body dies, uh, it will be resurrected in the future. The same physical body. But in another book in Ephesians, Paul says it different. He says that what gets resurrected is different. You will get a different body. You will have a spiritual body. So it's not the physical body that will get resurrected, but it will be changed by a new body, and that's called a glorified body or a spiritual body. So you see, it's a different resurrection. Resurrection. So it's not Paul. These letters, they are not written all by Paul, Brother Johan. Did you get that?
my son, thank you
Hmm?
for giving me an opportunity to say something too. So, what I want to say is this. Look, you had your opportunity to state your side of the story. I had the opportunity to state my side of the story. Now, what is happening now is you are running in circles.
No,
That's
I'm
a
not
very
running in circles.
so you
I'm I'm
stated.
I'm I'm telling you, Brother Johan, that it's not Paul who wrote all these books.
You said that
Hmm.
already, my son. Do you have anything new, or can we conclude now the conversation? Because you
It's not
just
written by
wasting.
Paul
You said that
because
already,
if
my
it's
son.
written if it's written by Paul, then the language, the doctrine, it should be the same all throughout his books. Like if he mentioned it in Corinthians, whatever doctrine he mentions in Corinth, that will be in Ephesians, Brother Johan, but that's not the case. And the reason that different people or different prophets have made up those books or letters.
Do you see what I'm trying to tell you, my son? You made your case, I made my case. Now, there's nothing more to say except enjoy your day, and you can tell me, enjoy your day, and we will meet again. What else can you say? There's nothing else to say except if you try to do a very evil thing in convincing me yourself. That's just a waste of time because I told you the Holy God speak to me personally. I heard what you said. And of course, he will tell me if you lie or not. But I already told you why I believe in Paul because the living God used the word of Paul to create more of his own life in me. That I already said. What's the use of saying it again and again? We're just wasting our time now, my son. I think I would give you a blessing by telling you, I love you. No, I have no problem with you not having a God and not being my son Jesus. I still love you. That's your choice. So, we enjoyed your time together, my son. I made a recording of everything. I'm publishing it on YouTube. You can continue there further if you want to. It will be there on YouTube. No need for us to continue longer our conversation while we're running in circles. It's a very foolish thing to do, running in circles. I don't like doing foolish things because I am your mother.
How come you say that you're running in circles? Yeah, because that's my argument and you're not responding to the argument. Brother, you.
I responded to the argument. You didn't You didn't like my response. Say it like that. But I did respond.
I'm not responding to the argument because that is a strong argument. Brother Johan, because it's attacking Paul. It's a direct attack to Paul. The letters of Paul, it's a direct attack to the authenticity and reliability of the books or the epistles of Paul. So you have to defend that. You have to defend that. Oh, all of these books, all of these texts, they were written by Paul. You have to defend that to me. Brother Johan. Because if you will not defend that, then no one will believe you. No one will believe. No one will believe every verse that you will get.
Don't worry, my son. This will be on YouTube for everyone to read and listen. And right there, we did the introduction to this. So there's nothing more we can do. So I'm saying bye to you now, my son, till we meet again. Love you, my son. Bye-bye.